basketball, baseball, volleyball. Oh my! Sports Scene is here from Studio C in the Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism.
A full slate of spring sports is on tap for today's show. Let's get rolling.
Hey Trojan fans, welcome back to the show. I'm Ken Masenchi.
And I'm Evan Budrovich. We start off the show on the hardwood where USC's men's basketball team continues to struggle.
Yeah, Evan, the Trojans have lost 8 Pac-12 games in a row, but are hosting the Oregon schools this week as they try to grab their first victory in over a month. Caton Reinhardt has stepped up his scoring the last 4 games, averaging 19 points a game.
And Oregon comes in with wins in 5 of their last 6, and that streak actually began against USC up in Eugene. Keep in mind now, our man Reinhardt, he led the team with 16 points in that game.
But in order to break the losing streak, Reinhardt says it's about playing consistently for 40 minutes.
But from right now, I just think we just got to keep playing hard like we have been, and playing until the end of the game, and just knock shots down towards the last few minutes of the, down the stretch, and that's all we can do so far.
Now to break down the Trojans' struggles and their future outlook, we welcome Sports Scene contributors Jeremy Bergman and Jacob Friedman for this week's segment of Trojan Horse. All right, guys, we've seen the struggles from USC the past 2 years under Enfield, 20-35 overall, 3-26 in the Pac-12. What is the timetable for Enfield to turn this program around?
Well, it's been a rough start so far for the Trojans. They're 9-14. They've only won 1 game in Pac-12 play. But I think you have to at least give him another season. He brought in a lot of players. There's a lot of freshmen playing right now. So this season, even if they don't win another game, you sort of just have to throw it away and look forward to next year.
But there's been no improvement with the team. Like you said, they won 2 Pac-12 games last year and only 1 this year. 2 of those games of 3 have been against Cal. So it's not like Enfield is going out and beating the teams that he hasn't beaten before. He's made no improvement on the team. The Pac-12 is one of the worst Power 5 conferences in college basketball, and still USC is always second to last or last. So if I was Pat Hayden, I would get rid of Enfield after this season if there's no improvement, if they win no more games in the Pac-12.
The thing is, if you're trying to build a basketball program, you can't just be recycling coaches every 2 years. This isn't the sort of thing you want to do with a program that you want to be stable. Kevin O'Neill made it about 2.5 seasons before he was shown the door, and he left a lot of players that didn't really fit in Enfield's system. If you do the same thing right now, you're going to give the new coach, no matter who he might be, a bunch of players that A, don't fit in his system, and B, might not want to play for him.
Okay, so then what do you see being realistic for when USC can return to either Pac-12 contention or March Madness?
I'd say not in the near future. USC isn't going to make the Pac-12 tournament, not going to make March Madness. If you can't even beat teams in your conference, then you're not going to be able to move on in your own tournament, and you don't even deserve to be in March Madness. This is a coach's problem. This isn't bringing in new players and having USC flourish with youthful 4-star recruits. This is a coaching problem, just like it is with Sarkisian with USC football. If Coach Enfield can't improve the players in late games, they've lost 5 games this year when the game has been between 5 points or less. With 5 points or less. So it's not a player's issue. You can bring in as many young players as you want, but if the coach doesn't close, then the players won't close.
For me, it still has to go on the players. Enfield is playing 4 freshmen. 4 freshmen are playing more than 15 minutes a game for this team that has no seniors. Next year, those 4 freshmen are going to be sophomores. They're going to be much more experienced. You're going to have 2 big-time recruits, Benny Boatwright and Chimezie Metu, and then you see where it goes. If Enfield starts out slow next season, if they start out 1-4 in the 3rd season and 2nd season with his players, then you might give him the Kevin O'Neill treatment and dismiss him shortly into Pac-12 play.
I completely agree with that.
Thank you, guys. And as we can see, Coach Enfield is 20-35 overall, as we said, 3-26 in the Pac-12. He has signed 2 4-star recruits in his 2-year tenure, but 15 losses are by 8 points or less.
The women of Troy head up the I-5 this week to face ranked foes Stanford and Cal, who's projected to be a 4 seed in this NCAA tournament. So now we take a look at how USC can keep their winning streak alive. The Trojans is coming off a strong homestand over Utah and Colorado. The defense really clamped down, limiting both opponents to under 40% shooting. This scrappy team continues to be aggressive on the offensive glass, but the shots really aren't falling at a rate good enough for the women of Troy. USC beat Stanford in the tournament last year and are facing the Cardinal right now at a good time, as they've lost back-to-back games coming into this weekend's matchup. So let's push this conversation forward, Ken, and discuss what to expect from the women of Troy. So first of all, who needs to step up offensively for this team?
Well, Courtney Jaco, she came into conference averaging 15% shooting from the three-point line, just under 50%. Now she's down to 23% conference play. That needs to go up for them to be successful.
So one player who has played pretty well, Kenesha Horn, a senior, double figures in 5 straight. What has she brought to the table to help this team?
She's just been a great inside presence for the team, and she provides rebounding, inside scoring, and that's just been good for the team the last 5 games.
You mentioned it with Jaco early on, but the three-point shooting has really gone away in conference for this team, just averaging about 3 a game. How can they make up that offensive production against good teams like Stanford and Cal?
Yeah, just like you said, about 3 threes a game, 36 threes in 12 conference games. That doesn't help when you're trying to score. 3 ball is the great equalizer. So it's forcing them to have to go inside more and try and score more points when you just need to knock down the 3 ball.
So the women of Troy will have their challenge up for them. Both these games are on the Pac-12 network as USC looks to build on its 5-5 record away from the Galen Center.
So switching from slam dunks to home runs, the Trojan baseball team is set to take the field for the first time this season when they host Townsend University for a 3-game set this weekend. James McDaniels caught up with the team to discuss the beginning of a new year.
Springtime is here, and that means one thing: USC baseball is back. The Trojans will look to start the season strong this weekend as they take on the Towson Tigers in a 3-game series that starts Friday night at Dedeaux Field. The Trojans are coming off a 29-24 season, their first winning season since 2005. The team is ready for the challenge and has improved on both sides of the ball.
I think that we're going to be very strong defensively. I also think that we're going to be a much better hitting team this year. We've been working a lot on our swings.
This year's squad features 19 upperclassmen and is poised to make a run at qualifying for the NCAA regionals. The Trojans will need to continue to improve. The team has a strategy to get some wins against Towson.
Going over the scouting reports, talking to Coach Alvarez, Coach Curtis about what pitcher does what and what counts.
Following this weekend's match against Towson, the baseball team will next face Kentucky on Tuesday right here at Dedeaux Field. I'm James McDaniels.
Thanks, James, for that report. The Trojans are looking to build on last year's successful campaign, including taking 2 out of 3 against number 1 ranked Oregon State to end the year. Now, Kyle Davis has grown into somewhat of an ace for the team. What does he bring to the team?
Well, what Kyle does, he throws strikes, first of all. He doesn't walk a lot of batters, does a good job mixing in pitches, and that's what USC needs. A bullpen arm. He was a closer last year, could be in the rotation. He's been dominant out of the pen, under a 1 ERA, and that's really solidified their roster.
Now, where can the team find power numbers? Where are the home runs going to come from this year?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's about moving the fences in, actually. In left field, they're coming in 15 feet. You hope that'll allow some more balls to leave. But 2 guys to look out for, Jeremy Martinez and Timmy Robinson, younger players who are now more experienced. They both hit close to 300 last year. They're going to have to step up and start hitting some big home runs.
And now they're coming off a winning season. Playoffs are what is the expectation. How do you deal with those expectations?
Well, first and foremost, last year, they were so close to the playoffs. 1 game short, according to projections. You just have to find a way to win series. You win every series you play, you're going to have a nice record going into the later part of the year.
USC will have an early advantage to get off to a quick start as 12 of their first 15 games are at home before they dive into the meat of their schedule against ranked foes TCU, Vanderbilt, and UCLA. Well, we discussed Kyle Davis becoming the new ace of the Trojans, so now let's hear from Davis himself as he joins Evan at the couch. Evan?
Thanks, Ken. We're joined by one of the best pitchers here on the team, a man who was named an all Pac-12 player last year out of the bullpen, Kyle Davis. Kyle, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So as the season gets started this upcoming weekend, you're facing Towson, 1 win away from making the playoffs last year, as they say. For this year's team, is that the same expectation, get that final win and get to the playoffs?
I mean, yes, we haven't been to the playoffs in so long, so obviously we want to make it, but we have a little bit higher expectations. You know, we think not only getting in, but we want to host a regional. That's kind of our plan so far.
So last year you were mostly the closer. You got to start in the final game, a complete game, very good start against Oregon State. Where do you think you're going to be slotted with Coach Hubbs this year?
Yeah, I mean, the plan was to start originally. Right now I'm coming out of the bullpen again for the first couple weekends, but hopefully I can get in the starting role soon enough.
So it's interesting because now what USC is doing is, we know the tradition of 12 championships and making playoffs in the 70s and 80s, but this group of guys, when you guys all came in being a junior, you haven't had that playoff success. What's the conversation like among you guys trying to get back to that point, maybe build the reputation again?
Yeah, definitely. I know our junior upperclass, I think we have 19 upperclassmen now, and especially my class, my junior class, we have 15, 16, and it's kind of been a big deal. We've had last 2 years, a lot of experience, a lot of young guys playing, and this year it's kind of it's our year to kind of take it and kind of have a big year.
So I know last year you guys started off so well, 7 wins in a row. You beat Fullerton. As you get ready for this year, how do you hit the reset button and focus on getting those early series with some wins?
Yeah, I mean, last year's over. We got to forget about that. It's a whole new season, whole new players. We start out with Townsend, then we go to Fullerton, I believe. So it's kind of we got a tough schedule, especially on Tuesdays. We just got to focus, pay attention to detail, one game at a time, like last year, because one game could have got us in. So just stay focused.
So then on kind of a lighter note, you had some at-bats last year, I think 7, a couple of walks. So Kyle Davis, the hitter, versus Kyle Davis, the pitcher.
Yeah.
How did that kind of unfold?
I was always a hitter growing up. I was recruited here to catch and pitch. I love hitting. I've always wanted to hit. Those days are kind of gone. I'm not really a hitter anymore, but if Hubs gives me the chance, I definitely believe I'm capable of hitting.
Okay, so if you had to face yourself, right? So
Yeah.
you kind of go fastball, slider, curve, and you had to face yourself, how would you approach that versus
wow.
Kyle Davis, the pitcher?
That's difficult. Against me, wow. I would probably go, I can't hit an inside pitch. So I would just go in as much as I can and then soft sliders away, and I'd probably strike out.
So in that Oregon State start, the game we mentioned, the complete game, I think you had like 13 strikeouts. You were kind of on your game. What do you bring to the table as a pitcher that makes you so effective, you think?
First off, I'm super competitive. As you've seen, other people have seen, I kind of give them all out there. I have 4+ pitches that many guys kind of don't have, and that's kind of my edge. Kind of gives me the edge of why I'm so successful.
So as a junior now, this team is getting older, like you mentioned, but what do you think with an older team, can you teach some of the younger players about how to win again? Because you guys had that winning season last year, but just continuing that.
Yeah, the young guys, they haven't gotten through any seasons. Like our freshman year, we were really bad. But it was a learning experience. The young guys, it's for us. We're older now, so we need to be able to have that teaching moment with the young kids. Because your first year, you get lost and stuff goes fast. Now that you're 21 years old and older, we got to teach the young freshmen, a lot of good ones too, that just relax, play your game, because we're all here for a reason.
And then finally, you've had all off-season to practice and prep, and now with the game coming up this week, what does it mean to finally get out there and then play a series?
Oh, it means everything. We've been waiting so long, especially for this opportunity, and this season, there's something special about it. And I know me and all the guys, we're so excited. Can't wait for Friday to come.
Well, absolutely. That's at Dato Field, so thanks, Kyle, for joining us. And now let's get a sense of what's going on around campus with our favorite segment, Lighting the Torch. Thanks again, Kyle.
Thanks, Evan. It's time to break down all the latest USC sports news. Let's light the torch. The track and field team is preparing for their meet this weekend in New Mexico. Sports Scene's Kelly O'Mara caught up with the team to see how they're preparing.
Hi, this is Kelly O'Mara, and I'm here with track coach Carol Smith-Gilbert, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the meet this weekend. You're sending some people to New Mexico and some people to Seattle. Why is that?
Yes. Typically, if you look at the NCAA qualifying marks, the distance runners tend to qualify at this particular meet up at the University of Washington. On the other hand, the bank track is a priority for sprinters. So we're going to go down to New Mexico on a very fast surface and have a great competition with some great teams there as well.
And what should we expect? Who should we keep our eyes out for this weekend?
If they're a Trojan, you should watch them. But I think more importantly for indoor, I'd like to see everybody improve their personal best, their PB, and let's see where that falls and try to get as high as possible on the national qualifying list and head to nationals.
Great. Thank you so much.
The track team heads up to New Mexico this weekend and Seattle at the end of February. Shifting to the Galen Center, the number 2 men's volleyball team returns home this week with a pair of matches against number 7 BYU with a top spot in the MPSF on the line. But the team's focus is playing one game at a time.
It would mean a lot to us, but we're not really looking that far ahead right now. We're just looking week by week. You know, we have a lot of good matches and a lot of really tough schedule.
For us, it's simply to think about the next practice, the next game, the next point, and to keep that mentality there.
The Trojans are 8-1 overall, while the Cougars are 8-2. Both have a 7-1 record in the MPSF. They'll take on the court this Thursday and Friday at 7 p.m. To the pool, the women's water polo team is heading down to Riverside this weekend for the Lancer Invitational. We caught up with the team to see what they're focusing on for this weekend's matches.
These games are helping us pretty much work together as a team.
We've been focusing on defense. Our focus is always on defense throughout the whole season, and then from our defense transitioning again to the fast break, like I said, and really utilizing our speed to our advantage.
The women of Troy take on Cal Baptist, Redlands, Pomona Pitzer, and Occidental on Friday and Saturday. Well, that's all from Lighting the Torch. Let's toss it over to Beverly Pham with the Athlete Tweets of the Week.
Thanks, Jody. Athletes come up with some of the most interesting, unique, weird, and random tweets on my feed. So without further ado, here are 5 of this week's most memorable tweets. Number 5, USC basketball's redshirt sophomore guard Kaiten Reinhardt tweeted out, "I'm so hungry, man." That's it. Hungry for what? A win? Somebody better get him some food because USC basketball is currently 9-14 and last in the Pac-12. Number 4, freshman forward Malik Marquetti says, "I'm asleep on half my bed yet another day. I hate folding clothes. I feel your struggle, man. Welcome to college where your mother no longer does your laundry for you." Tweet number 3, tight end Randall Telfer offers some wisdom with, "There's no need to hate on the Kardashian family that hard. Hate on racists and murders instead if you need to hate that bad." I know Adoree Jackson agrees with this sentiment, which brings us to tweet number 2, which also happens to be Adoree's jersey number. The freshman phenom quarterback and wide receiver Adoree Jackson tweeted, "My only regret is too young for @Kim Kardashian. Looks like Kanye West has some competition." And the number 1 tweet of this week goes to none other than sophomore safety Sua Cravens, who also happens to be selling some of his shoes and video games on social media. In reference to National Signing Day, he tweeted, "I will be taking my talents to Freebirds for a monster burrito." That's all for now. For more interesting tweets, just follow all of our athletes.
Thanks, Beverly. Now it's time to run around campus and check out some of the tidbits here from USC Athletics. Well, we figured out the secret to USC's success in the tennis court. Meet Floyd, the little cute chocolate lab here that answers all the tough questions. Who knows, maybe Floyd will be serving it up on Marks Tennis Stadium in the weeks to come. Now, we were talking about USC men's basketball, but keep in mind, they had a chance to come back against Stanford. Unfortunately, a simple play cost him in this game. Kaiten Reinhardt going up for a layup. He's improved his shooting touch in the last few weeks, but an easy fast break layup just slipped out of his grasp, and this photo says it all for USC. And while the Trojans may have lost to Northwestern over the weekend in lacrosse, the women of Troy really did well in the draw circle. New coach Alyssa Leonard, a former Wildcat, by the way, got some quality reps in with sophomore Michaela Michael before Saturday's game against Northwestern.
Now, while lacrosse is just starting up, the basketball season is winding down as the men's team has played 12 games at the Galen Center. But as Sports Scene's Jody Sullivan found out by asking some bogus questions, not everybody is following the Ballers of Troy.
When it comes to football, everyone knows USC fans are the best of them all, but when spring semester rolls around, they're not as in touch with what's going on the basketball court. So I went out and asked some students some questions about USC men's basketball. I'm Jody Storm Sullivan, and this is Storm on the Street. How do you think Coach Infield's whiplash offense is coming along?
Still needs improvement. He's getting better every year, but yeah.
He's doing pretty well. I really like the whiplash. It's a great whiplash in my opinion. Yeah, that's pretty much all I know, but it's a pretty good lash.
Who's going to have a bigger impact on USC's team next year? Benny Boatwright or Seymour Buckets?
I'm going to go with Buckets, just because he has Buckets in his name.
Timo Bucket honestly has a great name, so I would probably say him. Other than that, I have no idea, but good name.
Have you been to a USC men's basketball game this year?
All of them.
0.
I haven't been to one this year.
While Seymour Buckets would be an absolute great baller, he does not exist as far as we know and will not be joining the Trojans next year. And that wraps up the latest edition of Sports Scene from Studio C in the USC Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism. I'm Ken Masenchi.
And I'm Evan Bodrovich. Thanks for hanging in there. We just hope USC basketball can do the same this weekend. We'll see you next week, and fight on.